Parents of bullies, when did you realize your child was a bully, and how did you react? My son was a bully. First grade I started getting noticed from his teacher that he was throwing sand at girls and stabbing people with a pencil. I talked to him, and he had crazy first grade reasons, like she was being mean first. I told him it's not cool and to knock it off. Every teacher meeting I would tell them to let me know, and I'll punish him. Second grade. I meet the teacher. I warn her that I think he's a bully and to watch him. Same shit starts happening. But now he's being mean to specific people. Anyone that can't run fast, etc. I'm thinking to myself, I can't watch him all the time. What do I do? At home I start punish him, but it doesn't really do anything. All teacher conferences' main agenda is bullying. Third grade. I meet the teacher and warn her we have a bully on our hands. Same crap happens. I'm reading a book on the subject and I read a passage that says, if you call a kid a bully he lives up to the role. Let the experiment begin. From that day I stopped calling him a bully and started saying things like, you're going to help your teacher today, right? You are a good boy. Make me proud by being a helper. Almost night and day. The calls stopped. The next teacher conference, the teacher said how helpful he was. He's in 8th grade now. No bully calls. I make him do volunteer work weekly just in case. He still does crazy crap like attacking kids that are mean to girls, but no bullying. I don't know if I caught it in time or if my kid just needed coaching, but it worked. Recently, because I'm working from home and so get to hear, albeit distractedly, the discourse between my two youngest sons. My ears perked when I heard the oldest one's voice drop and the other react with a sudden wail. Then the older one, cool as a cucumber, affected as hell, say, hey, are you okay, little buddy? While the other one continued to cry. I strode into the little one's bedroom in time to see the older one towering over the younger one staring at him menacingly, but he saw me from the corner of his eye and continued with the fake tone. Mom, something's wrong with that chair. He was sitting in it and it just like flipped over. I just could not believe how he could believe that I would buy that. And his tone was just fake. It gave me chills. I had never seen that side of him before. He's 13 BTW. Edit crap. Now everyone thinks I'm a horrible parent, which, fair and B, my kid's a psycho or a sociopath. I fear I may have commented on something I really had no business commenting on because of the one-off behavior Maximum exhibited. But post I did, and so, to answer some of your questions. No, I did not beat that ass. I asked Maximum how the chair had tipped over, and he said he didn't know, it just had. I asked him to demonstrate, and he got on the chair and Jason, the younger one, immediately kicked it out from under him. Bam. Are you okay, bro? Jason asked, in just as affected a tone as Maximum had. Cue the angry scrabbling, going for each other, etc. I managed to pry them apart and sent Maximum to his room and told Jess to stay in his. Kept my ears perked the rest of the afternoon for trouble. When I finished my work I asked Maximum to come to the study so we could talk, and, almost as if he knew I was fishing for info, he offered it up. I only did that because he was being such a jerk about winning the game. He's always playing it. Of course he got better than me. Had to take him down a notch. Literally. He laughed. I took away his cell phone and Jason's game. Also, to everyone who had to deal with a sibling who was legit abusive, I'm sorry for the pain you endured. I had one of those. A wild, crazed sister who liked to dig her talons into my face. Luckily I never scarred, physically, that is. Anyway, I hope you guys are in a better place now. I'll keep an eye on Maximum and Jason and hope to be a better parent and more judicious poster, since obviously my comment didn't really meet the criteria, given more context. During this lockdown I have been tasked with raising my nephews in the absence of my Bill and sister, as they are both doctors and we are following strict guidelines to remain separate. My eldest nephew had been bullying his younger brother and some kids over the internet. He was generally being a dick. I immediately realized that he was a bully, but also hurting, but I didn't give him any excuses for his bad behavior. I made sure to be vocal and reprimand him every time he was crossing the line, or being even vaguely inappropriate towards his brother. We started to have regular conversations on where his sour attitude was coming from, and at first it just seemed like he was born to be an asshole, but I persisted. After a while he opened up to me, and he started to feel like he was being heard, and was then able to explain to me that he felt like he was a disappointment to our family as we are all fairly academic and successful in our professional lives, and he was worried since he isn't so academically inclined. He was also insecure about his sexuality because his voice was still childlike and not like his friend/little brother, so he thought that made him gay. We obviously tapped into/worked on that homophobic thought and was therefore being overly aggressive and macho. He felt like he was the ugly dumb older brother who could never do right compared to his younger brother. He also felt insecure about his lack of hair growth, both facial and down below. I can honestly say that in the past few months he has been with me, he has drastically changed because I took the time to listen and give him all the love I had for him. I apologized for not making him feel more loved/not showing him how much I loved him and how important he was to me and his parents. We had a family Zoom chat with his parents and discussed all his frustrations and upsets with his parents, siblings and even me. We all agreed to praise him more and to view his achievements with enthusiasm and pride it deserved. We assured him that he will never ever be compared to anyone else again. Honestly, in a few months he went from being this annoying always badass kid to the kid I always knew he was deep down. He now is helpful, kind and very fun to be around. He has stopped bullying his brother. They not only get along, but have started to be like friends, and we issue letters of apologies to the kids he was bullying. Initially he wanted to text them, but I persuaded him to reconsider. All the kids were gracious enough to accept his written apologies. Sometimes kids need to be reminded loudly and often how loved and wanted they are. Several answers here are along the lines of one of the things that makes a bully is lack of attention. My parents love me more than life itself, and yet I was still a bully in my elementary years. I couldn't tell you why exactly, other than just saying autism, which is no excuse. My parents did not allow the teachers to use that as an excuse and made sure I was appropriately punished. And I'm so grateful for that. Anyway, most autistic children have the one thing they obsess over. For me, it was Garfield the cat. Every phone call from the principal, one Garfield thing was taken away, and it broke my parents' hearts, but it worked. My nephew's a bully. I saw it coming though. My sister's non-existent in his life. He and my brother-in-law are separated from my sister. Honestly, she's a piece of work. Most of the family has turned their backs on her because she compulsively lies and treats everyone like they're not good enough. She slapped me in the face during Thanksgiving because I stepped out to speak to my then girlfriend who was in a PISH facility after threatening to kill herself. She said I was being selfish and needed to spend time with the family, not on my phone. Naturally, my nephew picked up on this behavior, while she still at least tried to act like a mother. Recently found out he punched a kid in the face and broke his nose. It's awful to hear about because the whole family is super supportive of my brother-in-law, and we know my nephew has some developmental issues because he was born about 2 months early and had to be incubated. Anyways, he's 6 or 7 now and starting to show these pretty serious signs. Anger. I haven't been in the area. I moved almost a state away for work though, and haven't been able to be part of my nephew's life in a while, which is a bummer. I just hope my brother-in-law is managing. Not a bully, but I know I got one of my old bullies hard when, on suggestion from one of my cousins, to invite said bullies to my birthday party. 7 total, only one showed, and proceeded to introduce the kid as the shithead who beats me up every day, even called him that in front of his mom. I know at some point the kid's mom had a discussion with my mom. I'll ask if she remembers how it went, and after about 20 minutes they up and left. Never had a issue with him afterwards. Update: talked to mom. She doesn't remember the exact words that were used, but the conversation was basically bully's mom saying I was being rude to my guest and was using foul language I shouldn't use. To which my mom proceeded to tell her all the crap this kid and his little circle of goons did to me. My mom was actually going to pull me aside and show the lady the bruises I had on me from him and the other bullies when she decided to leave. Not my story, but my mom's/friend's mother. A friend of mine became a bully in middle school. My mom and her mom were friends when we were kids in Girl Scouts. We played together, but went our own way more and more when she started to become mean. There was this community event about bullying for Girl Scouts I think, and my mom went to support the organizer, and because I'd been bullied for years, she wanted to find ways to support me and resolve troop conflicts. This friend's mom went, and my mom saw her. She's since left the troop, and it had been a few years, and was surprised. Asked her if her daughter had been bullied too. She responded, no, my daughter's become a bully and I'm embarrassed. I want to understand why she's doing this and try to teach her how much she's hurting others. My mom was really impressed because this woman, prior to this conversation, was kind but rather aloof and ignored a lot of the previous young girls picking on each other in Girl Scouts/clubs, passing it off as just normal kid issues. It was almost like she'd finally flicked a switch and realized that her daughter's behavior had been progressively getting worse over the years and she, as a mom, had just ignored it until it got to a very serious point. I'm not sure what came of it, but from other people who went to high school with her, she apparently became less of a true bully and started to act more kindly. I always wondered how those conversations went. My daughter. I figured it out after I took her phone and read her online post and some of the communications on her phone. Ever seen the movie Mean Girls? My kid put all of the characters to shame with her vindictive cattiness. Had she not been my kid, I would have sent her down the road to as highly toxic. None of my other kids act in that manner, and all of us have open communications. We are not the religious zealot types, and are very open to all people, included sex and sexuality. When watching the videos she made on her phone, I saw that she would draw dicks on her sister when the sister was sleeping. She'd get girls to fight with their boyfriends. She would intentional do shit to try to break the wife and I up. She paid another underage girl to coerce me into having sex, and then physically kicked the girl's ass because I didn't go for it. She recorded herself causing bruises on herself so she could say a parent was beating her up. She intentional start fights and create drama within her own peers groups. She lost all the friends she had in middle school because of her antics. I took her phone away, cut the internet, and had the police issue trespass notices to all of her friends to prevent them from coming to the house. I also removed the door to her room to prevent the sexual escapades. I'm not 100% convinced it was all consensual. Everything has been reported to proper authorities. In return, she threatened suicide and secretly called the cops. We took her to the hospital for the suicide threat. They placed her in a 72-hour confinement for mental health. She used the hospital phone to call a friend and have a friend in California make allegations to the police. It was a full-on drama meltdown. The daughter is still a bully and toxic. There's not much we can do. We can't get her to go to counseling on a committed basis and she not willing to change herself. She might have a mental illness. I'm not qualified to say. We can only mitigate and try to limit what damage and drama she can do. We shield the other kids away from her and try to be as happy as we can. As far as parental relationship, there isn't one. We have a regressive drama queen that we legal responsible for and kind of pander. Not a parent, but I live next door to my younger sister's bully. We were constantly going over there to tell the mother, hey, your kid hit my sister today, or hey, your kid bit my sister, and the girls were about 9/10, so she knew better. The mother denied that her precious sperm pet could do anything like that. A few days later the mother and the kid were at school, and I was dropping my sister off. The bully girl walked up to a random younger kid and sucker punched her in the face. About 20 other adults saw. Instead of disciplining her kid, she started yelling at the kid she punched, calling this poor 9-year-old a slut, a whore and a bitch, then raised her hand to hit her. But when another couple of parents started yelling at her and pushing her away, this grown-ass 35-year-old started crying her eyes out that people were calling her out on her bullshit. It was a real eye-opener that the kids probably pick up their abusive behavior from somewhere. As it turns out, the mother was a complete psycho and regularly lost and gained custody of her kids because of her behavior. She goes through boyfriends like they are going out of fashion, hit one of them around the head with a rolling pin, and cause shit wherever they go. The definition of a Karen. And upon knowing who the mother's parents are, it's a family thing for sure. Not until he started 5th grade. He was super close to his grandpa, wife's dad, and when he died it destroyed him, and his behavior changed. Few weeks after the funeral, this kid's mom called my wife saying things my kid was saying and doing. Not the school, mind you. We had a parent-teacher conference days before she called. Teacher didn't say a word. We talked to him. Your first reaction is to protect your kid and not accept it, but we can tell by the way he was reacting to the discussion. We arranged a playdate of sorts. We monitor it now. He talks to a therapist too. He's a good kid, just makes terrible decisions. As a father of 4, we've been on the other end of it as well, and usually if the kid's an asshole, so is one or both of the parents. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree at times. Not a parent, nor a sister, but we take care of our girl relative as often as we can. She has her own family, we are just close. She's 8 now, and started bullying when she started school, because she thinks she's dominant. Underlying reasons are mainly rooted in the household and environment, how she's being treated, mostly by adults, how people react to her actions, how she's being reprimanded, methods, and how often she's disciplined, who she's surrounded by, etc. Still hard to fix right now, but best method, keep calm and explain to the child. Cause effect, consequences, the feelings and situation of the victim, etc. Remember that you're dealing with a kid, don't just scold them and expect them to see at your level of maturity and understanding. Explain, talk it out. Their stubbornness will get in the way, but stay firm and ease your way into their trust and comfort. Child psychology, learn it. She's not intentionally bad. Just that her jokes come off as sarcasm at such a young age, to the point of insult sometimes. We found out from her teachers and classmates. Problem, her household doesn't see this as an issue to address, and actually celebrates her cleverness. But even when they do, their way of discipline obviously apparently doesn't work.